Welcome back, Jim Cummings and his producing partner, Ben Weisner. Benjamin Weisner. Sorry.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming. That poor guy, huh?
So we have microphones here. I've asked my share of questions of Jim. I still have questions for Benjamin, but I'm hoping that if you have questions or comments, don't hesitate. Just come up to the microphone. What's it like for you guys to see it? Like, you put all this time into it. You shoot it, you edit it. So what's it like to see it with a crowd?
Yeah, it's weird.
Is it?
Yeah, it's unexpected. Well, the first time we screened it was at South by Southwest in March. We shot it in November. We wrapped on the 22nd of November, and then we had to screen it publicly.
Wait, say that again. You shot it in 2 weeks, basically.
Shot it in 14 days in Austin, Texas. And then we had to have it back in Austin, Texas by the 3rd of March. So, and I edited a lot of it, and it was just us on laptops in a little office finishing the movie and then screening it. And we're like, I hope this is going to go well. I hope when we slap the corpse, people will be shocked and laugh, but you never know. Yeah, it's nerve-wracking. But then the hand slap game starts, and then you're fine, and everybody's okay with it. And yeah, so it was
weird
scary.
because we've done like worse stuff too. So when you see it that first time and you're like, oh, actually, this one's okay. We're getting better, huh?
How many so I sort of know the answer to this, but I wanted to have you talk about that first. So you guys saw it one take, right? I mean, you noticed that that first scene, and of course that's the essence of the short.
Yeah.
But just talk about. So you started that day. Did you really start at like 5 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, it was hell. So it was a little chapel outside of Austin, and we had found it 2 days before, a day and a half before.
I had found it a month before, and Jim didn't listen to me. But anyways, we decided to use it 2 days before.
Yeah, so we decided to use it 2 days before. I was convinced to use it 2 days before. And then we showed up at 5 in the morning, and we shot for probably 8 hours. We shot it 18 times. The first 9 times we used the song, the Bruce Springsteen Thunder Road song, which is what we did in the short film, without permission, very stupidly. And then Bruce saw the short film, we heard, and he was like, yeah, you can put it online for a year and give us $1,000. And I was like, all right, cool. And so we put it online instantly, basically. And then for the feature, we didn't really want to bother him again. So although we shot it the first 9 times with the song, we shot it the last 9 times without the song. And then we didn't even reach out to them again, really. And the last take was just so much better. So the 18th one that we did that day was
that one?
Is that one, yeah. And the performance and the camera work and just everything congealed in a way that the previous takes didn't. And we were like, I think we got it. And then
You could just tell in the room that it was going to be 10 minutes of the movie, and it was just, time to pack the trucks.
And so once you get the one take, you don't need any other coverage. So it's like, all right, I think we can go now. I think
Wait, what
that's
time was it? When you...
It was like 4 or
4 in
5.
the afternoon.
Yeah.
But then the grip truck actually had a dead battery, so.
Were you exhausted? And it...
10th take, yeah. And you have to keep doing it, and then you can't cry anymore. So like physically, you can't make any more tears. So I was like chugging bottles of water and like watching scenes from Pixar movies and like doing everything. And even then, you become callous to it. So it's like you can only see Bing Bong die so many times, and it doesn't work for you anymore. Just realized I spoiled Inside Out. And so there's 1,000 things that you have to do. So I have this list on my phone of things that make me cry, of like scenes from movies. And so I'm literally like, I didn't have a cell phone at that time. I was like, just give me the phone. Just let me look up League of Their Own and like watch this scene and like,
Right.
you know, and so I have these headphones on and I'm like trying to get in the mood. But even like 12 takes in, you're exhausted. It's a huge choreographed dance and just a lot of stupid bullshit that you have to do in front of a crowd. It's humiliating too. So it's really fun to do. But then by the end of the day, I was like, I can't do it. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it anymore. I told Ben and Natalie, my producers, and they were just like, let's just like see what he'll do the next couple, and this still wasn't working. And then Natalie had just lost her sister in a car accident, and I hadn't talked to her about it really, and she just came in and held my hand, and I've never cried so hard in my entire life. And I was like, let's start rolling, let's go for it. And then we shot it, and that's the last take of the movie.
Wow.
Creative producing.
Did you know you had it after
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one?
everybody clapped, and then it
Really?
was- yeah, and then it was like, okay, yeah, I think we got it.
That's
we got
good.
it,
That's
we got
right.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
But everything
And
has
then
to
we
go-
had 13 more days.
Yeah, so that was
It
the first day of
exactly
shooting,
as
and that was,
exhausting, yeah.
and then the whole crew was like, "Oh, this is the movie we're doing? Oh shit! All right." Yeah, it was bizarre.
Springsteen, the song, in the short, it's such a part of the short.
Yeah.
And seeing this version without it, it's weird to say, but it's almost better without
Oh,
it.
thanks, dude. Yeah.
Almost, huh?
Yeah, almost.
I
all we
Yeah,
love
got.
that song.
no, yeah, the song's great. I mean, the song, yeah, if you can listen to the song's really good. But I realized, like, for a feature film, it's a different setup and payoff than it is for a short film. So for a short film, you kind of have to do everything at once, and it's, like, really satisfying. And so to open the movie with this, I feel like it had to be this, like, humiliating nosedive for then him to have to, like, claw that back and try and
Yeah.
get his daughter to like him again. And so the real catharsis is the end of the film where we put on Skinny Love and he's in a ballet and he's watching his daughter, and it's the full circle of him realizing he's a parent and she's a daughter and he's doing a good thing, and his grandfather took his mom to see the ballet and all of that stuff. And so that's the real catharsis that you would normally get from a short film. We just had to put it at the end of the film. So, like, we were kind of okay with the Springsteen song not being in it, and we were also not able to be sued for it, which was great.
Tell the Bruce Springsteen story, though. This is cool.
Yeah, so his significant other, Patty, reached out 2 days ago on Twitter and said that she loved the movie and that they had watched it together 2 nights ago. And we, like, saw that, and then, like, I was, like, on my phone, it died, of course, typical, like, a middle conversation with Patty Scalfa. And then we drove out the next day to come here to make the next movie. And it was just this perfect send-off of, like, full circle. Bruce Springsteen liked our movie, which was great. Crazy.
It's hard for me to imagine anyone else playing Jim now, except for you. But that wasn't necessarily the intent at first.
No. So I'm not an actor, and I was a producer for years. Ben and I produced 5 feature films and music videos and a bunch of stuff before I ever considered really acting or directing. I knew I was good. I knew I was decent. But then I cast another guy, this buddy of ours, Sean, who was in. He's in Young and the Restless, but he's actually a really talented actor. And he's very serious. And so when we were, like, I was talking to him about it, I was, like, rehearsing a little bit. When he was doing it, it was just tragic. It wasn't, like, funny at all. And then I was like, all right, I'll just film myself doing it. And then I'll send that to people. And the cinematographer saw it and was like, oh no, dude, you have to, this is hideous, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I started growing my mustache out, like, the next day to start doing the movie. And then for the feature, we were trying to raise funds to make it, and we'd go to all these studios that turned other famous films, like, that were started out as a short film, like Napoleon Dynamite and Whiplash, these giant production companies in Hollywood that we thought were gonna help us out. They were like, oh, but you wanna act in it. Well, do you know, like, Sam Rockwell or, like, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal? And I was like, well, I don't know these people. Like, I could reach out to them, but I don't know. Like, I thought you liked the short film. Like, I'm in the short film. Isn't that good enough? And then we're like, all right.
No,
well,
it's not.
Yeah, it's not. But no, we ran a Kickstarter campaign, and then that started the ball rolling. And yeah, we just made it with our friends and family in Austin in 2 weeks
For 200 grand,
for 190 grand.
190 grand. Yeah,
Yeah.
under budget, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. And under schedule. I think it was supposed to be 15 days, and we shot it in 14 and a half.
We had to get to drinking Shiner Bock. They gave us, like,
Yeah, we had a
20
rap
cases
party.
of beer.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Benjamin, I wanted you to talk a little bit about the way Jim's performance, and and the character, which is, it's not improvisation. I mean, this is written out, and the sort of the cadence of it all, the way he cuts himself off, the way it tears and then immediately turns. like that's what happens at the end, which is so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And we talk a little bit about did you guys have conversations about these? You've talked a little
Yeah.
bit about these hinge moments in the character.
So we were driving around for like a month in Austin, finding all of these little houses and little locations. And we were just driving around together, and Jim would be just constantly running the scene, running the scene, running the scene. And it was just like looking for these little aha things where it was like, oh, here's an extra emotion. Here's
Yeah.
a time to pause and make a joke, or here's a time to pause and kind of look away, and you can suddenly find this thing that's creates a real subtext. Tell them about the word apparently. Like that's
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the best examples. I
Yeah,
think,
small
for me.
stuff like in the scene, and all of this, we say that we build the plane while we're flying it. We're like always making, in the
Right.
moment, making the movie better. But yeah, there's a moment in the movie that's like the biggest pivot between drama and comedy, where I say the bit about, you see me wrestle an alligator, help the alligator, and then Nate laughs at it, and I go, yeah, you like that one? It's an old one, that's an old one of my dad's, apparently. And like, the word apparently in the middle of that is just buried in the rest of the dialogue, but it's like, that says he didn't have a good relationship with his dad, or didn't really know the
Didn't
guy,
know
or
him.
heard that
Yeah,
secondhand.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, it just one word that says so much about this guy's childhood, that's like him revealing his demons, that's so funny, that was discovered in improv of just like us driving around. It's like, oh, that's perfect, we have to have that. And then that ends up in the script, and then we shoot it on the day. Same
So,
thing with like
yeah.
the slushy, where the transient guy throws it and hits me in the dick with it and explodes everywhere. We knew that had to be the same kind of slushy that I'm drinking in the scene where I'm smoking a cigarette. And it's like full circle of like, what if we show the exact kind of person? Like, not only are they both kind of naked in a parking lot shouting, we have to like unite them with their tastes in beverage.
The moment, there's this moment that I've heard you guys talk about. I wanted you to say something about it. Where the thing that happens at the end, that look that he gives his daughter right after the eulogy, which is that crushing moment in the short. Originally, you had thought that there was going to be a line there,
Yeah.
and then at some point you figure, no, I shouldn't say anything. Would you talk about that?
Yeah, so I was a bad writer for a long time, and I was like, oh, the audience isn't gonna get it if I don't say like, hey, we need to talk about grandma, or like, you know, I have to say that in order to make this short film work. And then I was rehearsing it. I rehearsed it all the time. Like, this is my first real time acting, so I just had to do it 1,000 times, and then do it in the mirror and film myself at an iPhone. And like, by doing that 1,000 times and being nervous about it, I was watching it and I was like, I think this is good enough. Like, I think if it's just a facial expression, like, language is so complex and body language is so complex. I realized from all of our short films together that like, all you have to do is have somebody say something and then go, and that says, man, I really wish I hadn't said that out loud. And like, you don't need to tell the audience that. They don't need to say that in dialogue. It's just part of the language. It's just not written.
It's kind of turning it into a novel in that way. Like, how do you get the
Yeah.
audience inside of this character? And that's one of the things that we try to do pretty much right away is like, once you have the script, just leave the page and try and get it into something that is more dynamic and it is more involving.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the Southern culture part, because I know this is something you both talked about. Benjamin's from North Carolina. Jim, you're from
New Orleans.
New Orleans, and because this is, you both talked about how Jim, Officer Jim, is someone you know, right, or knew. And I wanted you to talk a little bit. Benjamin, one other thing you've talked about is that this idea of Southern education and the expectations of Southern culture, how it's kind of embodied in Jim. Would you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, we're all products of these Southern high schools. Natalie, who produced it with us, is from down there. Danny, our creative director, is, and like, this is somebody who, like, there but by the grace of God would be us. Like,
Yeah.
it's just that close. I mean, I was a 23-year-old when my mother passed away and was a total mess. Like, luckily I didn't have a gun or a badge, but
Yeah.
you know, I was definitely shouting in parking lots, not much dressed. So, just trying to find this way to like look at yourself and look at the people who you grew up with and be offer like a little bit of not just like redemption to them, but like a little insight into these people, and allow that to be something that, while at times is the joke, is also like the part that is charming and the part that is this thing that you're rooting for.
Yeah. I was the high school football team videographer, which is like the perfect job for me now. Looking back, I was just like researching their behavior of like what being a tough guy was, and I was a hipster. I was a hot topic kid, and so studying them, it was like
Ugly Gap. That's
yeah,
hot topic.
yeah. I was like watching them perform all the time and just seeing it as theatrics, and like they're always trying to show off, and I just found it so funny and tragic and human. And so like from the beginning, I was always watching these people from the outside, and I was like, I was thinking that if you can make something that is humanizing of them and also showing how pathetic they are, I feel like these tough macho guys will watch it and go like, oh, well, I'm not going to be as dumb as that guy. It's like the Chaplin thing. If you make yourself look like an idiot, everybody's like, oh, I'm not that dumb. I'm going to change.
Yeah. I wonder about, there's that moment when Jim talks about how he never asked his mother about, there's this thing, she loses her boyfriend to Vietnam and you never asked her about it.
Oh. And
Where did that come from, by the way?
It comes out of nowhere. But no, I don't know. My mom always used to read stories going to bed, and there was this one about the creation of the Vietnam Memorial. And she would always cry when reading it, and I never knew why. And so as a kid, it just didn't make any sense. I never really asked her about it. And so as an adult, I realized, like, oh, she had friends that, like you don't realize that your parents are people until you're an adult. And then you're like, oh my God, I was such an asshole to my family. And like, what was I thinking? And that's kind of what growing up is. I mean, that's kind of becoming an adult, is realizing that your parents were just people and you were a nightmare to raise, all of you. And so, I don't know, I wanted to have something that was big and important and something that is just such a non sequitur in the middle of that thing. He's not talking about his mom, and then he takes his shirt off and throws it and says, all right, I'll talk. She lost her first boyfriend in Vietnam, and I never asked her about it. And then he is like, the regret of like, man, I wish I had been there, and yet he wasn't. And it's like, everybody has that feeling of Jesus. Like, it's never too late until it's too late, and then it's too late. And just wishing that you had done the right thing and not being able to, and doing that in the public as while shouting at somebody for bringing you breakfast.
Practically naked.
Yeah, practically naked. Yeah, that was a fun day.
Was it cold?
It was freezing. It was November, yeah. And, and I had one of my good friends cut out the back of my tighty whities this far from my butt, and he's cutting it and like showing how much do we show and how much, and he's kneeling down behind me, and people were walking into the bathroom, and they're like, what's
That was
going
the
on
only
here?
day we ran behind schedule. Y'all two were in the bathroom.
Yeah, we were in the
like
bathroom for a
an
while. No. And then it's like, and now I'm mooning the crew, and I'm like, is this okay in 2018? Like, I don't know. It was fun. It's a big moment for that guy, so I thought it was worth it.
Yes.
Yeah, hey, thanks. My favorite part in the movie is when he's leaving his sister's, and he opens his wallet,
Yeah.
and he takes out the folded of paper, and has her earrings, the earrings that his sister really wanted, and he puts them in the cup. And up until that point, I really didn't think Jim was going to make it. And right then and there, I don't know, it just felt like he was going to be okay. That he got it. Could you tell me about that and why you put that in there and what it means?
Yeah, so suicidal people usually give away important heirlooms right before. No, I wanted to have that thing where we purposely didn't show the earrings, and that was the thing. We got footage of the earrings in the paper, but I was like, well, I think it's fine. You don't really need to know. You need to hear them go into the plastic cup, and it's pathetic. It's this little like plastic to-go cup with these diamond earrings in them, and it's just this thing, like, it shows his value of like, I don't want them, but it's also this tough guy you've seen walk around for the previous 80 minutes, and he's this tough guy carrying his mom's earrings in his wallet, and like, that's something you didn't know about the guy. And then it's this reveal, this punchline, and then he leaves his duffel bag and he has to come back and get it, and it's like, like all of that was, it's like joke writing, where it's like setup and payoff, and I wanted to have that setup be inside of the scene where the sisters pissed off about not having the earrings. He can't even wear them. It's stupid for him to have them. And then you see him give them. It's like this quiet, yeah.
The fact that so he was always carrying around. I thought he like kind of knew that she wanted them and he brought them and didn't have the chance to give them to her,
Oh,
but then
huh.
he just dropped them in the cup anyway, just so she'd have them. But
Yeah, that works
You're-
too. Let's go with
Okay.
that. That sounds great.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
I gotta be honest. I was like thinking about how to phrase this question like all day because I was like so stoked for this Q&A. Like because I'd seen the film before and I was so excited to see it on the big screen this time and I was just super stoked and now I don't even like know how I want to phrase it. But I guess what I'm trying to say is so I'm a big fan of like the actor director, the idea of directing yourself and all that. And so I guess I just kind of wanted to hear a little bit more about your method. I mean, you did talk about it before, but I guess my big question is just how did you, I guess where did your like confidence and self-assurance come from for that? I mean, obviously, like you talked about initially, it was seeing yourself and like seeing those videos, but also like how did you on set know like, okay, that was a good take, no,
Yeah.
that wasn't a good take, and like who?
Just from rehearsal and having producers behind the camera. And it's just honestly a lot of sprinting. It's between like me in front of the camera and then running behind the camera and watching and then coming back. It's like a lot of that when you're starting out. But to be honest, the acting thing only came to me because I was so pissed off watching actors get celebrated for bad performances. And I was like, I could do better than that, I think. I could at least do better than that. And so it became ambition. I never had confidence. I never ever had confidence. And I was the meek, tiny guy, producer, shaking hands and giving out cards and that kind of stuff for movies. And I never had any confidence. And then seeing enough stuff succeed that was not great, I was like, okay, all I have to do is make something better than that. And then I just rehearsed it 1,000 times by myself in my car on my drives to work. And that became the writing process. I took screenwriting classes. I knew people usually write stuff, and I was like, it doesn't really work. It doesn't make great writing, so I'll just record it in my iPhone and just do it 1,000 times, and then listen to it later and write it down, the good improv, and then that became the script for the Thunder Road short, and that's how I write from now on. Like it's all auditory, and there are no rules. Just do it.
Right on, man.
The process that you've talked about, Jim, about, because this is like, it seems like a taboo in making films, directors giving line readings to actors.
Yeah.
But you do, like you're willing to
Yeah,
do that.
I record the full script as a podcast
Yeah.
like this, and then I put in music and sound design, and I play all the parts like it's an animation or something. And it works because we've never had any money, we've never had enough days to shoot on set, so like everybody in the cast and crew are able to hear it before shooting it. So they're like, oh, okay, this is the base layer of what he's thinking for the scene, and then I have to elevate that. And it's great. I think that like language and English is so complex and comedy is so complex. Sometimes as an actor, I'm like, just do it for me. Like, let me know like how to do it. Because like a punchline can be delivered properly and it can be delivered poorly because of inflection. And it's just too complex to mess up. I say, if it's easy to misinterpret a text message, don't let somebody misinterpret your script.
Yes.
Hey, so you said this was something you worked on kind of with your friends and family.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, did you have any actors in this that were actually non-actors that you had to kind of
Yeah.
teach how to do
Sure.
that?
Not really. So Kendall, this was her first feature. The Girl Plays My Daughter. This is her first feature. She had done industrial videos and some commercials in Austin, but she was found by our casting director, Vicky Boone, out of Austin, and very quickly was like, oh, this girl's awesome. She's just going to be my like niece for the shoot, and she became our mascot. And like anytime we were shooting, she was still around set and like climbing on people, and she was a dream. But there were times like that. You always have to do that when you're working with children. But for the most part, she knew my lines better than I did. Yeah, she was a pro. But no, and then like we had an understudy who played Nate, Niken Robinson. It was just a buddy of mine that I met through Instagram and Sundance. And we had a bigger actor attached to the part, and then it didn't work out a couple of days before, and Niken flew down. We had 4 days to prep, and he's actually a friend of mine, and so I was like, all right, this is
Well,
perfect.
he was buying a T-shirt or returning a T-shirt at Target when you called him and said, hey, can you get on a plane and come down?
I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm returning a T-shirt to Target, and Ben said, keep the T-shirt, go to the airport.
We had just that much budget for
Yeah,
the T-shirt.
yeah. But I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I always feel that way. I wasn't an actor before, and I'd never taken an acting class, but like, I was devoted to the part, and I knew I wanted to make something that was impressive. And so I always hire actors based on talent and enthusiasm, and that's it.
Great. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Forgive me if this was already addressed beforehand. We got here right as the title card came on. So I'm more encouraged than ever to see the short now, to
Oh, okay, cool.
see the preamble and kind of catch up, or, see this theatrically when given the chance. But my question is, you said, so again, if this was addressed prior, I'm sorry, but you said you're here to start the next movie?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that
Yeah.
a little bit, what your
No.
next project is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're making.
I'm ready to beep him. just in
Yeah,
case.
we're making a werewolf movie in Utah. Another cop movie that I get to act in. That's gonna be gnarly.
All right, and you're starting that right now, or you're in pre-production?
In
or something?
February, we're in
Oh, okay,
pre-production.
great.
Yeah, we came out early.
Congrats.
We're letting a werewolf loose, and we're
Yeah.
gonna film that tonight,
Yeah.
y'all.
Hi, I've
Hi.
been to a lot of these and I never come up to the microphone.
Oh, cool. Hey, first timer.
First timer. And I just want you to know that I didn't think that was funny. I thought that was deeply moving.
Cool.
That was amazing window into the life of a man that's suffering, that everything's going bad. Everything's just shitty. It's going down. And oh my God, what a great job you did. I'm
thanks.
very impressed. I did not laugh. People were laughing like, why are you laughing? This is serious. This poor man has lost his mother. And you do stupid things when you're grieving. No, that was wow.
Yeah, no, comedy is just the sugar to help the medicine go down
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can distract somebody with the sleight of hand of comedy and then slip in the
Yeah,
important stuff
yeah.
about life and love and.
But it was,
Legacy.
wow, it was good.
Oh, thanks so
Well
much.
done.
Thank you so much.
Yes, go ahead.
So
Oh,
I
sorry.
thought the cinematography of the movie was really amazing, and I thought that you could tell everything was really deliberate with how the camera moved and pushes and zooms and all that. So, and I thought it really elevated all of the nonverbal acting that you went through. How much of that was written in, and how much was that just the DP working?
Lowell Meyer shot the feature, and we had probably 2 weeks of conversations about how it was going to look. Because of the schedule and because of the budget, I kind of said, like, it has to be these 2 shots, and this is what has to be in the frame. And so, like, that really handcuffed us to what the shots were going to be. I used to be a cinematographer, and so I must be a nightmare to work with as a director. But no, there's a lot of stuff of just, like, it's always changing on the day, but it's usually like, this has to be one long take. We can't see this moment for audience reaction reasons.
There's that moment where he just starts the song, and like it's one of my favorite parts where he says, "There's the harmonica and the hand thing," but then the camera follows the hand
Yeah,
to his wife.
yeah, all of that's intentional. That's like
Yeah, I love
following the
that.
eye line of where the audience is going to be looking and using the camera to help tell the story. But every member of my crew is part of that conversation of like how big should these flowers be so that when we dolly through them, it's cool looking when we move past. Like that's conversations with production designer. All the time we're adapting, but most of the time it's up top.
And it's also one of those things, like, we've shot 4 other short films, one shot with that cinematographer and another 6 outside of that, which had that same production designer.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that kind of trust and everything is like, it's this language we've built in with a lot of this team where these are people that we've been working with for years, investing in careers, but then also like, you're turning each other into filmmakers, so you're really naturally picking up what the other person needs from them.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't see you. Go for it.
I was wondering how you shot the scenes in the cars, because like when you shoot from like outside the car and you're seeing like Crystal and Jim like talking, I'm just wondering about the logistics of that. Is the car actually moving there, or?
Yeah, so yes. So like there's the scene in the back seat where I pick up the girl who's making out with the two guys.
Slickers.
That's, with two slickers, sorry.
Slickers.
That was like a 45-minute build on the hood of the car. And I was nuts because I was like, we have to have the cinematographer on the hood so we can get this pan over to reveal Jim's face.
In elbow pads and a helmet.
Yeah, and it looked ridiculous, and it was the middle of the night. So that's kind of all how that's built. And then for the cross coverage of like me pulling up to the house in the car and we reveal Nate through the window and then he gets into the car, all of that is like very strictly done with like tape on the ground, so the cars have to come up and hit this exact mark, and if we don't do it, we have to go back and set it up. It's like, it's a nightmare. It's a big choreographed nightmare. Yeah, that's kind of how we did a lot of that tricky car stuff. And Springsteen is all about cars. Like if you listen to any of his music, it's like all these car metaphors. And like, so the whole time I'm like trying to get footage from the car, and the cinematographer's like, why do we have to shoot through a windshield? I was like, trust me, it's gonna be cool. It's
about Springsteen.
Yeah, it's about Springsteen. Just do it. Yeah.
Thanks. Yes.
Why did you choose Austin as the location of the film? Did the fact that South by Southwest have any influence over that? Because South by Southwest is in Austin?
No, not really. I'm from New Orleans, and one of the executive producers on the movie grew up in Austin, and I was like, oh, I wrote it for New Orleans, and then he was like, well, anything that you could get in New Orleans, like friends and families, houses for locations, he was like, we could get all of that in Austin, and Austin has such an incredible film infrastructure of like, you know, Richard Linklater is there, and Terrence Malick, and Robert Rodriguez, and like all of these huge filmmakers, so there's giant rental houses, and like, it really is this Hollywood of the South. And so I was very quickly convinced to shoot it in Austin, and then we just kept the LSU lanyard because it made him a fish out of water, which is very sad.
Tigers.
Somebody clapped, yeah, go Tigers. So no, I mean, I think Austin has such a big film community there, in part with South by Southwest, and a lot of the film production community there is in connection with South by Southwest. But no, that wasn't really one of the reasons.
Thanks. I wanted to ask you guys.
Hold on. Yeah, we got one guy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
He was adamant.
Did you guys hear that? He's talking about the hand slap
He's asking
game.
about the patty cake stuff. It took forever for me to practice. I'm really bad at it. I never did it growing up, but I knew I have 5 nieces, and so they are very good at it, and they always make fun of me for not being able to do it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cute. And then, I don't know, it was just this battle that you have as a parent. So your child tests you to see if you're cool, and then when you're not, you feel like you've lost. And you really did lose ground in impressing her, and it's this real shitty thing that parents go through every day. And so, I don't know, I wanted to do this battle melee thing of him gaining ground, and then the reveal of him having stayed up all night as this love letter to try and win over his daughter's affection. And it's something that parents do all of the time, and it's so lovely and heartbreaking, and it just worked. And it's so simple. It's like, I love that. It's like a magic trick. It's this simple story that I haven't seen before, and it's visual to indicate a full backstory. And I had the idea in my friend's basement one night. I was like listening to Springsteen and drinking Budweiser, and I was like, this would be awesome. And then it got into the script. So I don't know how it ended up in it, but, and then I was doing it on a stairwell by myself for like months practicing.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
I'm just curious, you seem like you're on a magic trick, sleight of hand kick, and you had the little clip where he's waiting for the, is why?
That was another one. So like once he wins this battle of the hand slap game, while he's going in, he's so convinced that he's going to be able to get his daughter that he's also learning other stuff to impress her. And he's clumsy, and still he wouldn't be doing this in his spare time. And so you know it's this small love letter to his daughter. And so I put that in because I'm actually pretty good at it. I grew up doing that thing. And I was like, this could be a funny intro to the scene and say a lot without having any dialogue.
What's the deal with the French? Why do the French love this film?
Yeah, the French are interesting.
Jerry Lewis?
Yeah, Jerry Lewis. I think, yeah, really, like the French. So yeah, the movie came out in France first in September, and it blew up in a very strange way, and it was incredible. It was incredible, and I don't know. I think the French really respond to it because it's about a clumsy, drunk authority figure with a gun, in America, and they see a lot of that. They see that as America right now, and so. And so that relates to them. But then also, the same problem is happening in American culture and English culture, where a movie is either a drama or a comedy, and the only people that are fusing the two are Pixar. And it's just this very strange marketplace where if you're able to do both at the same time, people like that. And so I don't know. I think we came about at the right time, and they also really love people like Chaplin, the physical comedy, and writer, actor, director. I'm not sure why the French love it.
Well, and we knew that physical comedy, that kind of thing, was a draw, and we knew from like our short films, everything in the past,
That's true.
that only like 40% of our audience is in English-speaking countries. So trying to pay attention to these other things that aren't just like, as much as we love these small words and these Southern jokes and everything like that, trying to relate in a much different way that can kind of span more people was always a bigger focus for us, yeah.
You guys feel like, I mean, you've been at this a while. Made shorts, you did this Kickstarter campaign to get this thing going, and it totally worked. Do you feel like you've arrived in some way? I mean, you're not
No.
even, no. Okay.
No, never. And that's a question I get from my family. My family's all like medical malpractice attorneys, and they see me as this like movie star, and they're always interested. Hey, this guy, Sundance, this is my son, that stuff. But no, you never feel like that because it's still showing up to work. Like it's still just your friends, and you get to work with the people you choose, and that's a great freeing feeling. But for me, I'm a maniac. I don't have that.
We have like $22 worth of shoes between the two of us on right
Yeah,
now.
this is my character
All of
shoes
our
from
lights
the
are
road.
on in our cars, on our emergency lights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But not even, not even just like the money side of it or anything like that, but like we want to be out here and telling these stories. Like we won't arrive until like we're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the hope, that
it's
we
a-
just
but it's-
keep going.
Well,
yeah.
you said that it's about showing up, right? It's like
Yeah.
this, and maybe whether you get there doesn't matter as much as the showing up part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the showing up is like how you live your life.
That was a
This
very
is how we-
Buddhist thing that just
It was,
slipped out
man.
of Doug's
Yeah.
mouth.
I don't know where that came
No,
from.
it's true. It's like the hike metaphor of like you go on a hike not to like arrive anywhere. It's like you should be loving it and the experience. We've been very lucky because we actually get to make movies. A lot of people spend their entire lives talking about making movies and dreaming of being able to do it instead of picking up an iPhone and going to do it. Like, there's no magic to this stuff. It's just like we were nobodies before we started doing stuff, and then and then we put stuff on Vimeo and bugged people and said, hey, will you watch this thing? And we focused on craft, and we focused on entertaining an audience on the internet, and that's the only reason that we're here. Like anybody can do this. Anybody can do this.
Yeah, when we were making short animations, we were in this like pretty illegal like 2-bedroom house / office that we were living in, and we had a couple of things on the wall, one of which was a Bill Russell jersey that had next to it his quote of success is about the journey, not championships. And that's always been it for us. Like this was the award at at South by Southwest was our 5th one there or something like that. It was our 7th year in a row having worked down there. And that's something that we want to keep up. It's like I want to be giving you as an audience something continually.
Yeah.
And yeah, the other stuff, like the fact that this gets celebrated, it means much more to me that you're in the crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're proud. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much,
doing
Glenn.
this. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you for coming.
Thank you all
Thank
for
you,
coming
everybody.
out.
Thank you, Utah.